Hey, you crazy cats! 42's live streams and videos are simply not available on vinyl. You will have to go to the YouTubes for that. So if you want content about British traditions and culture, cutting edge social commentary from an unapologetically patriotic perspective, along with a side order of madness you simply will not find anywhere else, then this is the place for you. And to all those early adapters in the chat, don't forget to hit the notification bell. That's how you get the good stuff and make sure you never miss a tasty treat. So with that being said and done, squeeze yourself in. Let's get into it. You know you want to. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Please delete as applicable because the internet is worldwide. Time zones are still a thing. And by God, StreamYard is still your bipolar girlfriend, but I managed to get us onto the stage from the intro. It's all working good. Hopefully, can I get a wee audio check in the chat? And I will say some hellos. First one in, Mr. Budgie Burger. Good evening, sir. What about you, chum? We are covered for the funniest comments on the internet. Yeah, Budgie's good. Captain Paka, what about you, chum? Welcome aboard. Thanks very much for coming along. Amanda Lee has dropped in. Colin Wardle, everybody say hello to Colin. He arrived here via the House of Waffle. Everybody make him welcome. You'll find that there's a lot of the wafflers in here, and there's also a bunch of scrubs who are the fans of Chris Dangerfield. So you'll fit right in. It'll be fine. Rich, what about you, chum? I just seen your email there, and yes, that's well. I'll let you all know now. Rich and I have got a bit of a project going on. We hope to preview it, premiere it, whatever you want to call it. Not next Saturday, but the Saturday after, which gives me a little bit of time to finish everything up, and then we're going to talk a bit about it. Cause I think it's going. Well, I know it's going to be a great conversation, and I really like the way the project's going on. So there's that, and I'll come back to Rich in a moment or two. Anglo-Saxon, what about you, chum? Welcome aboard. Thanks for coming along, brother. The wonderful, the amazing, the delightful, the sexy Emma G. What about you? How you doing? Hope all's well. Yep. Oh fuck. Yep. That's the other thing. The Waffle House are the wafflers and the scrubs are the scrubs. And for years, I've been fucking trying to think what would I actually call my audience whenever I realized, and it came to me the other week. It's in the fucking intro. They're the crazy cats. That's what these are called collectively. Audio proper strong one. Sounds good. Al Mac, what about you, brother? Welcome aboard. Thanks for coming along. Hope all's going well. Very welcome. Bass is in from Holland. What about you, chum? Yep, all good. And Mandalay saying hello to Colin. So we're all good. Right, now, before we get into the meat and potatoes of everything, as it were, I'd like to give a shout out to a couple of shows. One would be Robin from Robin Curry's is a Cure, who was on the end of the stream. And start again. First one would be Robin Curry's is a Cure. He was on the last Saturday stream last week. Does a lot of content. She'll keep you up to date with all the madness that's going on government overreach and trying to forces into medical experiments and all of that stuff. Robin is the girl to keep you up to date with all of that from an Australian perspective. And I actually do think it's quite important that we'll have a look across the different hemispheres and continents and whatnot, so as we get an idea of how joined up all these dots actually are. Because it turns out no matter where you are in the world, you face the same shit, right? So there's that. So Robin, Courage is a Cure. She streams on multiple platforms and does a lot of streaming. So Uh, there's so get on to that. The other one is this guy here. If you're not already subscribed to him, please do. Follow his wee linky post. Rich RPW Media does a live show every Friday night at 11 o'clock British summertime. I'm not sure what time that is in America where he lives. And he does a similar thing to what Robin does. He'll keep you up to date with all the political shady shenanigans that's going on. And he also has a website that is a mine of information of all the previous articles that he's done. So Rich RPW Media, get subscribed to that as well. Oh, Commander's jumped in. What about you, chum? Welcome aboard. Not too bad, not too bad. All right. The third show that I want to give a shout out to, the one, the only, the Dave Waffle House, home of the world famous Friday night duck race. There are many ways to get involved in the duck race. You can leave a comment under any stream, and that will get you a free route of entry into the duck race. You can also get free ducks by being the first person to say 420 at the appropriate time, by being the first person to comment on any stream, or by naming shit that Dave talks about randomly. Yeah, I mean, it depends. It depends exactly. You've got to get involved with that to figure out when and where there's going to be ducks on the loose for free. So get involved with that. And obviously, you can purchase ducks via donations, and you could indeed win the duck race, get yourself on the wheel of doom, and get yourself some liquid ass for free on a Friday night. Well, what more can you ask for? Yep. And what other shout out was I going to do? Do I have any other shout out? I don't think I do. I think that is just about. I think that is all of the. That's the shout outs on their way. We're going to be talking about D-Day. However, before we do that, there is something I need to talk about. That is indeed current. I may. Yep, Dangerfield. Yes, also, Chris Dangerfield is back at the Stream of Malarkey. Very erratic, but get yourself there for over to Dangerfield. Oh, and by the way, while you're at it, subscribe to Brad James's Substack, because if you're not going to be here for a while, I'm going to guess you actually do like a bit of poetry. And Brad is an excellent writer, so get yourself on that Substack. Right. So feel free to clip this. I'm going to talk about the death of Henry Newak and the protests that have happened and should be ongoing. I've got a bit to say about the protests. And just so as you know exactly where I'm coming from in all of this, my grandfather was protesting the erosion of British values to the point where he joined an army and was ready to fight British people, English people, Irish people, whoever it is. And we went to war for that. And that was back in 1912. And we're still today having the same protests about maintaining our British way of life. I've seen Sunnydale in my lifetime. I've seen Sunnydale Agreement, Anglo-Irish Agreement, Drumcree 1, Drumcree 2, Drumcree 3, Twiddale Avenue, 2012 flag protests. Basically, my whole life. basically my whole life, I've been seeing protests. I've been seeing what works and I've been seeing what doesn't work. And that's my bona fide for saying what I'm going to say. The protest outside the police station was a very good idea. You were exactly where you were supposed to be. You were in a good public area. The police were there. It was being policed with soft policing because it had to be, because everybody knew that you were there with a legitimate concern. And then some fucking genius, some absolute fucking retard decided to move it down to either the site where he died or potentially that family's house. And obviously, as soon as that happened, you're moving into a residential area. There's property damage, there's criminal damage, there's criminal trespassing, there's all sorts of stuff going on. So therefore, the police have to come in and put a stop to it. And obviously, whenever the police come in to put a stop to it, that's going to involve violence because the people don't want to leave. And the police have no other option but to clear it out of that area. The upscale and I don't know how many people have been arrested, how many people are going to be going to jail. But to be very clear, I understand exactly why they did it, but it was a mistake to move away from the police station. The other thing I would say is what needs to happen next is there needs to be a protest on a weekly basis at that police station, and it needs to be on a very narrow line, because the police have actually handed the English people an open goal that they just need to he totally fucked everybody over. The police have came out and said, let's be clear, from the police arrived, I do not believe there's any way that young man could have lived. However, he did not need to die in police custody. But because the police overstepped what they should have done, they failed to carry out any form of investigation, he did indeed die in police custody, which changes things, because we have got every right to complain about the death in police custody. And you can do that without mentioning how he was initially injured and murdered. And the reason why you do that is simple. What we want out of this is a law. And we want that law to be called Henry's Law. And what that law should be is that if anyone reports a racist act to the police and it turns out to be a false accusation, that also is a racist crime. It's a hate crime, because that's the most common hate crime against white people, false allegations of racism. So you go to the police and you go to a police station and you go and you hand in your letter and tell the police, this is what we're protesting about. This is what we want. We want the introduction of this law. And on top of that, we want that law to be promoted. We want this law to be promoted in every racism campaign, so that it also states that making false allegations of racism is indeed a crime and will indeed be punished. And the other thing that these people that go and do this protest need to do they need to form a concerned residents group or a community group that can call it whatever they want. It's got to be local people. And they've got to form a properly constituted group. They're going to have to elect the people that are in positions of power. Because the other thing that you're going to do is you're going to ask for a seat at the table where policing is discussed. And I'm going to zoom this in. I'm going to zoom this in again. By the way, it took me a good 5 minutes, a good 10 minutes to find this because obviously the English police system works slightly different to the Northern Irish police system, and it's different names. So this is from Donna Jones, the Police and Crime Commissioner. And what I'm going to read is legally qualified persons and independent panel members. This is for the legally qualified persons and independent panel members are independent of Hampshire and Isle of Wight Constabulary. They are selected by the Commissioner's Office to help ensure that misconduct hearings are fair and transparent. The Police and Crime Commissioner has a statutory duty under the police complaint system to maintain a list of legally qualified persons who are available to support police misconduct hearings and be nominated to sit in the panel. So this is a panel that looks into police misconduct. Now I'm going to scroll on down to the bit that's relevant to us. As an independent, I'm going to highlight this. As an independent representative of the community, independent panel members will be at local level, so ideally they will be residents of the force area in which they sit. However, there will be occasions when you may be approached to support other areas in the southeast region. So this is a mechanism by which community groups interact with the police and affect the strategy. There's an open seat at the table there. Somebody needs to step forward and take it so that whenever all these conversations are going down, you're at least there to hear them and actually push back against them before they become policy. And if you need any more ammunition as to why it's important that you have people from that local community in this group. This is from the Independent Office for Police Conduct. And give me a second to get this pulled up. Share screen. Going to zoom this in again. Ethnicity. Of the 17 deaths in or following custody, 15 of the deceased were white and 2 were black. Of the 2 deaths by fatal shooting, 1 was white and 1 was black. Of the 50 other deaths following police conduct, the Police Complaints Commission decided to investigate. 43 people were white, 5 were Asian and 2 were black. Of the 5 deaths in or following custody, where there was use of force by the police, 3 of the deceased were white and 2 were black. Of the 7 other deaths following police contact, which involved force by the police, all were white. So even by their own, that's the figures for 24-25. Anytime I'm bringing up figures, they will be the figures of that date. So you've got all the evidence that there's a genuine problem, And what you do is you go along and you protest and you say you want a seat on that table. You want Henry's Law and you want it to be a national campaign. And you keep it 100% to that narrative, nothing else. Because if you can keep it to exactly that, everybody, and then you keep all of your you screen grab everything, you keep the physical copies of every time that the people that are doing this protest get called racist, and then you go, all of this is evidence as to why this law is needed. The pushback against that, and once a community group can get onto that commission table, they will find the other groups that are involved with all of the behind the scenes stuff. Because believe it or not, the police talk to the community, the health department talks to the community. The only people it's not having in the community conversations is the average white English person. No, you the deport needs to be on a totally separate campaign. This needs to be kept incredibly clean. All we're wanting to deal with is how people are treated in police custody and how people are treated whenever there's a false allegation of racism. That's it. Start middle. It's a pressure group for that one issue. Other people are going to have to deal with the other stuff. But these people need to keep themselves 100% on that, because if they go out past that and start shouting deport, then they will have the opportunity to call you racist. Yeah, I do want the report, but don't get that under Henry's Law, mate. That's we agree that this is on tactics. This is on me seeing roads blocked every week for a year. Fuck all happening. No changes. Never to get that fucking flag back up. But this is a tactic. You need to use this to get into, and I don't mean use Henry's death. I mean use the police mishandling of that whole situation. The police said it wouldn't have happened if that man had not lied to us on the phone. Excellent. Well, it's not excellent. It's actually really bad. But yeah, yous have admitted that you believe the lies. So now we need to change that. And we need to change the training of the police. We need to change the laws. We need to change the judiciary. We need to change all that to get it back to being right. And that is how yeah. I don't think so, mate. Yeah. No, the fact of the matter is those police officers acted on their training. And I am going to have a think about this, and I'll probably make a standalone video on this and get everything into a proper thanks. I'm going to actually script this and put it into standalone video, because I know that everything I had in my head didn't exactly come out the way I wanted it to. Yeah. Like I've had all the practice at this that you could ever have. My whole life has been protests. I've seen the government put it down by a worker strike. I've seen road closed to stop people being deported to the Republic. Brad, what about you, chum? Welcome aboard. Thanks for coming along. Yep. Thanks, Commander. You know, it's not that I don't want more than that. I want a hell of a lot more than that. But that's the battle you can win. That's the one that you can actually get movement on. Although the thing about Brad, maybe give it a week or two. I wrote a poem about Bloody Friday. You know, these things do need to go into our cultural zeitgeist, and poetry is the way to do it, chum. And you're a good writer. I wouldn't let thinking that you're on a bandwagon put you off. And Brad, I'll tell you what, mate. At least you're not going to fucking damage anybody by what you're doing. There's a lot of people that really are on a bandwagon, and they're going to fuck it up for everybody. They're going to take what should be a very open and shut case about how the police handled him in custody and turn it into something totally fucking different. And they'll never win the totally different argument. They will win the argument about how they're treated in police custody. And because you've kept it to that, any allegations of racism are proof that this is why you need the law against false allegations of racism. And with that, yeah, fuck it. There's going to be a musical interlude coming in. But first of all, there's going to be a poem interlude. Yeah. What the? Sorry, I'm having a problem finding my poem. Yep, here we go. We're good. And I hope you can still actually hear this. Boom, boom, boom. StreamYards. Good. Right, this is a poem by yours truly. That's the wrong fucking thing. Actually, can stop that screen. Share screen. Here we go. A poem by yours truly called Destination Fucked. Right, and we're going to zoom that in a little bit as well because that's small on the screen. Destination Fucked. You cannot buy a return ticket to Destination Fucked. If they ever evacuate that station, only carcasses will be trucked. So you should proceed with caution before embarking on that train. It is a one-way journey and will always end in pain. There are many routes to travel, such as envy, sloth, or greed, or delusions of intelligence, so sound advice you will not heed. You could embark at deception, ignorance, malice, or hate, but beware the station master waiting at the gate. When you bring those most intolerant to live within your land, then feed the rabid animal and forget to guard the hand. Then become quite condescending to those against your new social construct. You have bought a one-way ticket to Destination Fucked. There we go. a little bit of 42. And I'm checking the comments. Well, thank you, sir. Now, we're going to have a musical interlude. Fuck it, we're going to do more of me. It's going to be one of those nights. We're going to have some harmony, melody, and rhyme because I need a couple of minutes to just chill the fuck down. And then we're going to get into the... Thank you. I try. I do try. And thank you, Brad. Right. We're going to do harmony, melody, and rhyme. And then we're going to do some D-Day stuff. And that will be a video file I need. Here we go. Harmony, melody, and rhyme. Enjoy the murals, people.
This is 42 speaking. Welcome to the Resistance. You are not alone, and we shall walk this journey together. What about you, John? If one brings a guitar and one brings a voice, then they stand together and make their own choice. Let us gather together those that can perform, and from the scarred timbers build our own platform. From that grand house they tried to burn down, there's gold in the ashes if you look around. Let us gather together those that can perform, then from those scarred timbers build our own platform. Build our own platform. We will sing words of wisdom. We will sing world harmony, melody, and rhyme. We descended from minstrels in old days of yore. We will create a culture as we did once before, forced to stand by as our country was sold. Did you really think we'd leave that story untold? So one brings a guitar and one brings a voice, then they stand together and make their own choice. They have seen the future, the way forward is clear. Among us still stands a modern day Shakespeare. They have seen the future, the way forward is clear. Among us still stands a modern day Shakespeare. Forced to stand by as our country was sold. Did you really think we'd leave that story untold? We will sing words of wisdom. We will sing we will sing harmony, melody, rhyme. Harmony, melody, and rhyme. So one brings a guitar and one brings a voice, then they stand together and make their own choice. I have seen the future, the way forward is clear. Among us still stands a modern day Shakespeare. you never realized you could not kill a dream. So we will gather together those that can perform, and from the scarred timbers build our own platform. You're talking to 42. What about you, chum? If one brings a guitar and one brings a voice, then they stand together and make their own choice. We will sing words of wisdom, we will sing for all time. We will sing for our people, harmony, melody, and rhyme. We will sing words of wisdom, we will sing for all time. We will sing for our people with the ancient trilogy of harmony, melody, rhyme. We create large society through family, God, and tribe. The gods of water, earth, and land brought us through alive. The earth, the moon, the sun, each became a deity, independent parts of another trilogy. Is it a coincidence, or is it just sublime, that we now bring excellence in harmony, melody, and rhyme? With power and wealth, you control the mainstream, but you never realized you could not kill a dream. You cannot kill a dream, and we shall walk this journey together.
Big shout out there to Al Mack and Justice Kane, without whom that would not have been possible. I swear to God, if you heard the original voice thing that I sent Al Mack, which he turned into that song, it's beyond night and day. Yeah, because I've got 300 things to get on with at the minute. I will get that done, Linda. I'm really sorry. I have let that one slip, but I've had a couple of other things all going on at the same time. I will get that done. It's uh, thanks. And the other thing I want to say is, while we're on the subject, harmony, melody, and rhyme, we will walk this journey together, and we will gather together those that will perform, and we will put our stamp back on this culture. And one of the ways that we need to do that is by demanding a new law about false accusations of racism. That's a step forward that we can take. I can tell you that on the police and community safety boards, we have people on our ones in Northern Ireland. So I'm not asking you to do something that's not that's totally out in the limb. That is something you can achieve. Sorry, a couple of holes I need to do. Special K sneaked in. So did Martin. Welcome aboard, chum. And there was Special K, Martin. Who else? Sorry if I missed you with a hello. I'm sorry. But yeah. Thanks, Colin. Right. The second renaissance is upon us. It is the Special K. It's now go time. This is now go time. We can go in and demand seats at tables. We've got everything we need to say that we need to be there. And that needs to be our next move. Because I swear to God, I've watched people for 40 years ended up in 60 years now, ended up in jail when they never should have done. I've seen people who are just patriots turned into accidental terrorists. I've seen people that get caught up in the moment and do something stupid, and because of the way the law is, you end up in jail. I'll give you an example of why you need to be so very fucking careful. Fella I knew whenever I was growing up, whenever I was big, 18, 16, probably. I knew him from mid-teenagers. Wasn't my best mate, but he was one of the people that we'd have knocked about with our wee crew. And there was something going on at a house in a housing estate. The people were pissed off with somebody. I'm not quite sure exactly why. I can't remember because it was a very long time ago. Anyway, he's 18 years old. He goes up and there's a crowd standing there, and he pulls his flute out of his pocket and he decides to play some music. And at the same time that he decided to play the music, people decided to damage the house. And then whenever the people got arrested for damaging the house, because it was all cameraed up, he got arrested for being part of that, because his flute playing was a signal to start. Wasn't really. Fuck all to do with him. He just decided to play a flute in a loyalist housing estate at like 9 o'clock at night, which generally speaking causes no problems whatsoever, unless you're going to stand outside somebody else's house for a fucking hour, in which case they'll say, here, walk up the street about that. But nobody's going to complain. But he did that at the wrong time, and next thing he was in jail. You know, so I don't want to see our people going through that. I don't want to see our people fighting with police, because it's not a fight they're going to win. Particularly the English, you aren't very organised at the whole ratting thing. You're not quite there yet. So you're going to get a lot of arrests because you're not quite sure where the flute of hate. Yeah, all our flute music is classed as flute of hate. Fucking, it's absolutely bastard ridiculous. Yeah, they say our flute band's really dirty and all the Irish people, and thinking, well, fuck. They do somewhere between 40 and 50 parades a year. They practice twice a week. To kit out one of our bands, it's well north of £50,000. I think put that, or yeah, Sam Miller didn't need to go to jail. Really didn't need to go to jail. But he did, because he did something stupid and gave him an open goal and the ability to put him in jail. You know, is stay distracted in the truth. Non-movement echo chambers that will never share or live. The solution, homesteading, author, read. Yeah, part of, that is one way to go about it, and we already are in a parallel society, because we are not treated the same way as any fucker else is. We are treated differently. We are in a parallel society, whether we like it or not. We've been shoved there. Didn't have to be there, but we've been shoved there. So it's maybe time to embrace it. The nicest asshole you'll ever meet. Welcome aboard, chum. I don't recognize your name. Maybe you've been here before and you've changed your name, but I like that name. And welcome aboard. And thanks very much for coming along. Oh, and also anybody that's new, feel free to hit that subscribe button. You'll get more of this madness every Saturday night. With that, we're going to eventually get into fucking D-Day. Yeah. The thing about it, Martin, here's my issue with that. I don't think Restore is any more connected to the people than any of the other parties. I think Rupert Lowe is doing a really good job. I believe he believes everything that he says. I believe he's heading the right thing. But again, he's not, for Restore to be what it needs to be, the average people need to be getting involved with it, need to be joining the party, need to be forming their local committees, and need to be electing their own people to go in there. And Restore needs to be able to give these people training in what they need to do in their whenever they are elected representatives, and he needs them following the whole time that they from they decide that they're going to stand, need them following whatever's going on in that local council or with members of parliament, and shadow it and understand how the committees work and what everything does. You know, yeah, I, Woody, is that you? Oh fuck, yeah, totally, totally. I 100% get what you're at, mate, and I think it's a really good initiative. I do. I really rate that. I would say, another thing I'm going to say, see everybody that tells you that white people aren't allowed to collectivise or we're not allowed to collectivise, has any fucker told the Woodlander? Because it seems to me he's doing exactly that. And a lot of things that you think you can't do, it turns out you can if you get off your fucking arse and do them. Right. Now, I did promise you D-Day. So here we go. This is from the Imperial War Museum. The 10 things you need to know about D-Day. And we'll see if I agree with them. I may not. I have been in a disagreement with the Imperial War Museum before, but no, I don't think you can. I don't think you can wait and vote for a savior. I think that the problem is that there's no connection between the English working class people and the English politicians, and you just need to fix that. And then you can possibly vote for a vote for change, but you need the you need the connection between the politicians and the people. To be fair, it worked for us in Northern Ireland until England went fucking soft. But there you go. Right, 10 facts you need to know about D-Day. D-Day was 6th of June 1944. It was the largest amphibious invasion in the history of warfare. The statistics of D-Day, codenamed Operation Overlord, are staggering. The Allies used over 5,000 ships and landing craft to land more than 150,000 troops on 5 beaches in Normandy. The landings marked the start of a long and costly campaign in northwest Europe, which ultimately convinced the German high command that defeat was inevitable. I think they agreed that defeat was inevitable whenever the Russians were in Berlin, but here you go. 10 things you need to know about D-Day. D-Day was the start of Operation Overlord. On D-Day, 6th of June 1944, Allied forces launched a combined naval, air, and land assault on Nazi-occupied France. The D in D-Day simply stands for day. and the term was used to describe the first day of any large military operation. Early on 6th of June, Allied airborne forces parachuted into drop zones across northern France. Ground troops then landed across 5 assault beaches: Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword. By the end of the day, the Allies had established a foothold along the coast and could begin to advance into France. And here we have a picture about the liberation of France. One second, I will check the comments. My God, we played France. Sorry, I was just checking through the comments. I don't think there's any I really need to know. 82 years ago today, my granddad ran up Sword Beach under fire. Respect hashtag. I swear to God, I don't think the current 18 and 19-year-olds would have the wherewithal for doing that. The defeat of Germany was acknowledged as the Western Allies' principal war aim as early as December 1941. Oh, fuck you, don't say. Please, Imperial War Museum. Please. Was not the defeat of Germany the acknowledged Western Allies' principal aim since the war began on day one? Please. For fuck's sake. Opening a second front would relieve pressure on the Soviet Union in the east, and the liberation of France would weaken Germany's overall position in Western Europe. The invasion, if successful, would drain German resources and block access to key military sites. Securing a bridgehead in Normandy would allow the Allies to establish a viable presence in Northern Europe for the first time since the Allied evacuation from Dunkirk in 1940. I can see a picture here, but I'm not 100%. Yeah, I don't really understand that picture. D-Day required detailed planning. Lieutenant General Frederick Morgan and his team of British and American Canadian officers submitted plans for the invasion in July 1943. Although limited planning for an invasion of Europe began soon after the evacuation of Dunkirk in 1940, detailed preparations of Operation Overlord did not begin until after the Tehran Conference in late 1943. And I need some liquid. A command team led by the American General Dwight D. Eisenhower was formed in December 1943 to plan the naval, air, and land operations. Deception campaigns were developed to draw German attention and strength away from Normandy to build up the resources for the invasion. British factories increased production, and in the first half of 1944, approximately 9 million tons of supplies and equipment crossed the Atlantic from North America to Britain. A substantial Canadian force had been building up in Britain since December 1939, and over 1.4 million American servicemen arriving during 1943 and 44 to take part in the landings. So everybody's coming to good old United Kingdom to make their way across and bash the Germans. D-Day was an international effort. No shit, Sherlock. D-Day required all-present cooperation between international armed forces. The Supreme Headquarters Allied Expeditionary Force was an international coalition, and although the Allies were united against Germany, the military leadership responsible for Overlord had to overcome political, cultural, and personal tensions. By 1944, over 2 million troops from over 12 countries were in Britain in preparation for the invasion. On D-Day, Allied forces consisted primarily of American, British, and Canadian troops, but also included Australian, Belgian, Czech, Dutch, French, Greek, New Zealand, Norwegian, Rhodesian, and, Polish naval, air, or ground support. So there's a lot of people about, but the vast majority of them were American, British, and Canadian. The largest naval, air, and land operation. Actually, I'm going to go back to that. This thing that they do. If they can find 2 Greek people, we'll say there was Greek people there. If they can find 5 Rhodesians, they'll say that there's Rhodesian people there. Yes, it is true, but it doesn't mean that there was a lot of them. The largest naval, air, and land operation in history. The invasion was conducted in 2 main phases: an airborne assault and amphibious landings. Shortly after midnight on 6th of June, over 18,000 Allied paratroopers were dropped into the invasion area to provide tactical support for infantry divisions on the beaches. Allied air forces flew over 14,000 sorties in support of the landings, having secured air supremacy prior to the invasion. Many of these flights were unchallenged by the Luftwaffe, and that's why the air war was important. You had to be able to you couldn't have a very fierce battle just to get the people there. Nearly 7,000 naval vessels, including battleships, destroyers, minesweepers, escorts, and assault craft, took part in Operation Neptune, the naval component of Overlord. Naval forces were responsible for escorting the landings, so it was the Navy's job to get them there. Over 132,000 ground troops on beaches. They also carried out bombardments on German coastal defences before and during the landings and provided artillery support for the invading troops. If you're going to run up this beach, which is quite a long beach, it'd be nice to have some of your stuff coming over the top of your head and hitting the people that you're running towards. Germany tried to defend the northern coast of France with a series of fortifications known as the Atlantic Wall. However, German defences were often incomplete and insufficiently manned. Members of the French resistance and British Special Operations Executive provided intelligence and helped weaken defences through sabotage. The Allied deception campaign succeeded in convincing the Germans as late as July 1944 that the main invasion force would still land elsewhere. So they arrived on the 6th of June, and in July the Germans are still waiting for the fucking real invasion. That's a bit mad. The threat of this larger second invasion kept German reinforcements tied down and away from Normandy. Interestingly, whenever we compare this to Zulu or Rorke's Drift, more particularly, I haven't worked out what the odds were, 1,000 to 1, 500 to 1, whatever it was. But what actually drove the Zulus off from Rorke's Drift was the knowledge that there was a relief column on the way. The next morning, their scouts had seen the relief column arriving, and at that point, they decided to have enough and fucked off. Wood. I don't know that they could have got enough reinforcements to hold the beaches and drive the Allies back into the sea, but I do know that it was going to be a lot harder if they didn't get any reinforcements. On D-Day, the Americans came close to defeat on Omaha, partly because of the preliminary air and naval bombardment failed to knock out the strong defence points, but also because they faced highly effective German troops who had gained hard-earned experience on the Eastern Front. The other reason is the American ships had to stay a mile offshore because there was a threat from artillery on the cliffs, and therefore they're swimming tanks, which were designed to swim a couple of hundred yards in basically a lake. Well, they went out a mile out in high waves, and every one of them sunk. So they didn't have the armor support that they were hoping for on the beach. The British had an easier time getting off Sword and Gold, but their tanks, more or less, most of them made it through. Throughout the Battle of Normandy, the technical superiority of their tanks and anti-tank weapons, as well as tactical skills of their commanders, gave German forces an advantage over the Allies. However, the Germans were never able to fully exploit their success or the weakness of the Allies in a decisive way. Is this fucking some Russian bullshit? I don't know. 1 second, I want to check the comments. Zulu. Yeah. I'm not sure if that's quick or long, but Martin. What false history? There you go. If you don't like it, don't come back, chum. We'll stay in your homestead then. There you go. Just stay in that. I'm not exactly worried. D-Day was made possible because of the Allied efforts across all fronts, both before and after June 1944. In planning D-Day, Allied commanders drew important lessons from previous failures at Dieppe in France and Anzio in Italy. The Allied strategic bombing campaign, which began in 1942, weakened German industry and forced Germany to commit manpower and resources away from Normandy to the home defence. Securing air superiority allowed the Allies to carry out aerial reconnaissance, giving them vital intelligence on German coastal defences. D-Day also developed on the Allies' control of the Atlantic, which was finally achieved in 1943 and the victory of the Battle of the Atlantic. The campaign in Italy directed German troops away from Western and Eastern fronts. The Soviet Belarusian offensive, Operation Neptune, was launched just after Overlord and destroyed the entire German army group centre. It also kept German forces tied down in the east. 10 weeks after D-Day, the Allies launched a second invasion on the southern coast of France and began a simultaneous advance towards Germany. So D-Day was the one that opened the door, and then they sent more people in through. And by the way, I don't know how you can think that fucking D-Day didn't happen. Really don't. Don't know how you don't think D-Day happened. I think you might be fucking deluded if you didn't think D-Day happened. Fuck. There is more to Normandy than D-Day. The importance of D-Day often overshadows the overall significance of the entire Normandy campaign. Establishing a bridgehead was critical, but it was just the first step. In the 3 months after D-Day, the Allies launched a series of additional offensives to try and advance further inland. The operations varied in success, and the Allies faced strong determination and German resistance. The brocage, a peculiarity of the Norman landscape characterized by sunken lanes bordered by high, thick hedgerows, was difficult to penetrate and placed the advantage on the German defenders. Yet the bloody and protracted Battle of Normandy was a decisive victory for the Allies and paved way for the liberation of northwestern Europe. So these hedges were more than just hedges. They were built, the hedges were grown upon like a bank that had been built up over a very, very long time, hundreds of years, and they were incredibly hard to get through until the Allies decided to start putting bulldozer attachment type things, improvised bulldozers on the front of their tanks and slitting through the whole thing. Nicest asshole. Wrong name, chum. And are you drunk? You fucking idiot. Or do you want us to talk about your stuff? Fucking wanker. Whew. The importance of D-Day often overshadowed the overall significance of the entire Normandy campaign. Establishing a bridgehead was critical, but it was just the first step. In the 3 months after D-Day, the Allies launched a series of additional offensives to try and advance further inland. These operations varied in success, and the Allies faced strong and determined German resistance. All right, we've read this. The Brock Hedge. These were the mounds that were built up, and the hedges were on top of them and had to cut their way through them. The other thing that the Germans did in those areas is they would have prepared several defensive positions and then moved between them. And it was a very hard way to fight a war. Now, Northwest Europe was the most significant campaign fought by the Western Allies. Overlord did not bring an end to the war in Europe, but it did begin the process through which the victory was eventually achieved. By the end of August 1944, the German army was in full retreat from France, but by September, Allied momentum had slowed. The Germans were able to regroup and launched a failed but determined counteroffensive in the Ardennes in December 44. That's where Bastogne and everything happened, and the 101st Airborne were in there, Band of Brothers, Easy Company, all of that type of stuff. This defeat stopped the German manpower and sources and allowed Allies to resume their advance towards Germany. There were many D-Days throughout the war. All right, here's the picture of the people on the tank. Sicily, Marif, Italy, Salino, Anzio. This is a cartoon about people. They claim people were D-Day dodgers because they weren't there on D-Day, but they were on other missions at different times. In this cartoon, one man says to the other, "When they call us D-Day dodgers, which D-Day do they mean, old man?" D-Day is a general term for the start date of a military operation, and the D stands for day. It is often used when the exact date is either secret or not yet known. Some people thought soldiers serving in Italy were avoiding real combat in France and called them D-Day dodgers, but the troops in Italy had faced their own D-Day in Sicily, Salerno, and Anzio, and were. I have a great uncle. I was killed in Anzio. Actually, I think it's an uncle, or it could be a great uncle. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's either an uncle or a great uncle. In my family, we don't tend to make that much of a distinction. And on my mum's side, we have a hell of a lot of relatives, and it's hard to keep up with fucking 60 odd first cousins. Right. And we're engaged in dangerous and difficult advance up the Italian peninsula. So there is 10 facts about D-Day that we have run through. And with that, I am going to... Yeah, it was. Not great, to be fair. I don't think so much was said it was Stalin, as we both had a problem with the Germans. I think we got too friendly to the Russians. Yep. And there was a war going on in the Pacific. And Australia was under threat of invasion for a while from that one. Should have sent Rambo in. Yep, 82nd Airborne. We're knocking about there as well. Yep, right. With that, I'm going to have a musical interlude. I think it's going to be Old Maui. Yeah, it is. One second, just to start the applications. Yeah. Come along, please. Get past the adverts. There you go. Fucking slow as fuck. Right. Here we go. Old Maui coming up.
"'Tis a damn tough life, full of toil and strife, we whalermen undergo. And we don't give a damn when the day is done, how hard the winds did blow. 'Cause we're homeward bound from the Arctic around, with a good ship taut and free. And we don't give a damn when we drink our rum with the girls of old Maui. Rolling down to old Maui, me boys, rolling down to old Maui. We're homeward bound from the Arctic around, rolling down to old Maui. Once more we sail with a northerly gale towards our island home. Our mainmast sprung, our whaling done, and we ain't got far to roam. 6 hellish months we passed away on the cold Kamchatka Sea. But now we're bound from the Arctic around, rolling down to old Maui. Rolling down to old Maui, me boys, rolling down to old Maui. We're homeward bound from the Arctic around, rolling down to old Maui. Once more we sail with a northerly gale to the ice and wind and rain. Them coconut fronts, them tropical lands we soon shall see again. Our stunsail's bones is carried away, what care we for that sound? A living gale is after us, thank God we're homeward bound. Rolling down to old Maui, me boys, rolling down to old Maui. We're homeward bound from the Arctic around, rolling down to old Maui. How soft the breeze through the island trees, now the ice is far astern. Them native maids, them tropical glades is awaiting our return. Even now their big brown eyes look out, hoping some fine day to see our baggy sails running for the gales, rolling down to old Maui. Rolling down to old Maui, me boys, rolling down to old Maui. We're homeward bound from the Arctic around, rolling down to old Maui. Rolling down to old Maui, me boys, rolling down to old Maui. We're homeward bound from the Arctic around, rolling down to old Maui.
One second. There's a troll has gone to the blacklist, and he will never ever be back. I don't know if he. I don't know if he was drunk. I don't know what the fuck was going on with him, but he'll not be back. I don't know. I'm not even 100% sure who it was, but don't really care. I've got these opinion things, and they're always going to be my opinion things. One of my opinions is I don't take shit in my own house. That's one of those things. Now, here we go. The dogs of D-Day. Something just a little bit different. Is that who it was? Fuck off. Is that dickhead still coming around here? See, for somebody that's been done with me for fucking over 2 years, why has he come back? He's a fucking arsehole. And he probably was drunk. Yeah. Fuck. Oh. Fucking child. Now, let's see what this looks like on the screen. And that looks like too small. Where's Streamer go? Right. Linda, Streaky Bacon, 100% would. The thing about it is, he's probably pissed. He's pissed whenever he does it, and then he comes back and once in a while get kicked out because he was being an absolute fucking asshole. There was arguments with Streaky Bacon every week, and at one point they just got fucking fed up with him, and I banned him. Yep. The man's an absolute fucking dickhead. And the man, he's also proud that he steals. What the fuck? Who's proud that they're a shoplifter? I'm not proud that they actually pay for my food because that's just what you're supposed to do. It's not something you need to be proud about. But fucking being proud that you're a shoplifter and thinking that's an achievement. Being good at shoplifting. What the fuck's wrong with his head? Anyway, the D-Day dogs. Mention the D-Day landings of World War II, and most people will have an image of brave soldiers battling across Normandy beaches under heavy fire from the Germans. However, did you know that there were also some four-legged soldiers who played important roles in D-Day, and that ensuing battle and the ensuing Battle of Normandy? Dogs were trained to sniff out explosives and mines and to keep watch in order to warn of the approach. Warn of the approach of enemy soldiers. To get dogs into Normandy as soon as possible, some were parachuted, the so-called paradogs. Yeah, fucking paradogs. Wee doggy jumping out of the plane with a parachute. Great. Apologies for the non-politically correct name, but the photo of the dog above, nigger, yeah, no apology for that needed. From the number 1 dog platoon, 227 Field Park Company, Royal Engineers, was taken in Normandy a month after D-Day. I cannot find any more about this dog. Whereas the picture below showing Bing, a German Shepherd, parachuted into Normandy with the Allies on 6th of June 1944. Bing, originally called Brian, went on to sniff out many landmines. He later parachuted into Western Germany, and after the war was awarded the Dickon medals, the UK's highest honour for animals, and more. Other receipts of the Dickon medal include pigeons, horses, a cat, which helped keep rats at bay on a Navy ship, less and serene. Food supplies were not lost. And there's the German Shepherd that parachuted in on D-Day. Finally, I found this image of Jasper showing him being bandaged up after an injury, proving dogs as well as soldiers were wounded in Normandy. Yep, everything that went there got wounded. Pretty much. There are some more details on the D-Day dogs in this webpage. We often thank the soldiers in the wars, but it would be nice not to forget that there were also animals that played a vital role. And that's from Animal Tales and All About France. And with that, let's see, where exactly are we? I got banned from the channel for pointing out discrepancies in his story and history. Real of them. Funny thing. Yeah. A parapooch. Right. Nah. What else are we going to talk about? We are going to do a little quick bit. This is a very quick bit. This is an official RAF blog. And we're going to see what they say about the D-Day landings, because it's actually quite surprising how little they have to say about it. I believe to be part of a problem. But at that stage, again, we're going to have to do some zoomage. View. Zoom me in. And zoom me in again. Here we go. RAF's D-Day involvement. On the 6th of June 1944, Allied forces launched the invasion of German-occupied Western Europe, one of the greatest operations of all time, the D-Day Normandy landings. The historic assault, an unprecedented military and logistic endeavour was carried out along the Normandy coastline of France. The American troops assaulting the beaches, codenamed Utah and Omaha, and the forces under British control landing in Gold, Juno, and Sword. Preparations and planning for this invasion, however, had been going on for months before anyone set foot in the beaches on the 6th of June. 1944 Bomber Command had already lost almost 300 aircraft and 2,000 men. 1,500 killed, attacking invasion targets. I'm going to guess that there's 500 taken prisoner. Air power was the key to success. Indeed, in the 2 months previous, RAF Bomber Command had been successfully forming the ring, attacking the road and rail links to the proposed battle area. So what they were trying to do was take out any roads, any rail that was going to allow Germans to fast-track reinforcements into the area. And the strategic air offensive against Germany, conducted by both RAF and American bomber forces, had shifted the battle to the skies above the Third Reich, forcing the Luftwaffe on the defensive. As such, when the Allies' Normandy beach landings took place, there was initially very little the Luftwaffe could do in response, because they've been having all these long-range raids into Germany, which meant they had to move the Luftwaffe back so they could be there to protect the targets. As D-Day approached, the nature of the targets became more tactical, including coastal gun emplacements and radar installations. And on the day of days, Allied airmen bombed gun embankments a few hours ahead of the beach landings, attacked transportation links, towed gliders, dropped parachutists, and carried out deception operations, strafed enemy transports, and reconnoitred the developing battle. Now, I want to talk a little bit about gliders and the use of gliders and why that was done. For example, on Pegasus Bridge. It wasn't because those men didn't like jumping out of aircraft with a parachute. And it wasn't because we were short of the aircraft needed to bring in paratroopers. It was far more simple than that. The bridge needed to be taken very quickly with surprise. Now, you can drop your paratroopers 10 mile away, let them all come down, then regroup, then off they go, walk 10 miles to the bridge, and then attack it. Or you can send in a glider, which means that all of your troops and, interestingly, all of your ammunition and all of your weapons, everything that you packed up to take with you, is going to land in the same place right at the target. And indeed, the lead glider that landed at Pegasus Bridge actually took out some of the defenses because they had put wire and fence and stuff in areas, and the glider used that to help it stop and also put a hole through it so that the soldiers could attack immediately. And that's why Pegasus Bridge was able to be taken so quickly. And there was actually two bridges at that site. There was another one a very short distance away that they both took. So that's why they used gliders. It was for getting the amount of people and the equipment all in the exact same place at the same time. Basically, the role that's now carried out by helicopters. Coastal Command aircrews patrolled the approaches to Normandy, protecting against enemy submarines and shipping. The air sea rescue crews plucked fallen airmen from the drink. That's the other thing. Another innovation that came from World War II. Prior to World War II, air sea rescue was not a thing. Going out and searching in the sea for downed airmen was not a thing. But they were losing so many pilots, and they were short of pilots, So they had to go and try to rescue ones that went down, and that was the start of that whole thing. To the point where now pretty much any civilian can carry with them a tracking device, an SOS device that they can press a button and it'll lead people to their exact location. On D-Day, over 11,590 Allied aircraft of all types were involved. Interestingly, we have very specific numbers for the aircraft that were involved and all of that. We still have the best guess on how many people get killed on both sides. So consider that. 5,656 of these were Royal Air Force. What is often forgotten is that over 1,800 RAF personnel and 456 vehicles landed on the beaches, and by 9th of June, this had increased to over 3,500 RAF personnel and 815 vehicles from Normandy working on airfield construction, aircraft servicing, and forward control. And I need to cough 1 second. And now I'm just checking the comment. I live in Lincolnshire and have heard from old timers that although we did not have kamikaze pilots as such, police pilots were much the same. Yeah. This is very true Anglo-Saxon. Dave Waffle said something very interesting the other night. Have those fuckers not realised that they're locked on an island with us? And whenever push comes to shove, we always win. Once we decide that it's time to organise and win, we'll do it. Nah. Where was I? Oh, yeah. In the following days, as German Air Force attempted to transfer aircraft to the battle area, the Allied fighter pilots patrolled the perimeters, establishing an aerial umbrella, and the bombers cratered the local enemy airfields. In addition to the continued bombardment of rail and road centres, while maintaining the air superiority, the fighter pilots were able to exploit their situation, flying armed reconnaissance in the battle area, firing rockets, dropping bombs, and unleashing their machine guns. At times, the land battle ground to a halt when the Allied bombers were called in to break a stalemate. The Allies exploited their local superiority to the full. So if they were having problems in an area, they would just go in and fucking bomb the shit out of it. Then walk over the rubble. The enemy has complete command of the air over the battle zone and up to about 100 kilometers behind the front, and cuts off by day almost all traffic on roads or byways in open country. Maneuver by our troops. All right. This is a quote by Field Marshal Rommel. Maneuver by our troops in the field of battle in daylight is thus almost entirely prevented, while the enemy can operate freely. Troops and staff have to hide by day in areas which afford some cover. Neither flak nor the Luftwaffe seems capable of putting a stop to this creeping and destructive operation of the enemy's aircraft. That was Rommel's assessment of the situation on the 12th of June. The success of the D-Day landings opened the way for the liberation of Western Europe. Within a year, the Nazis were defeated and the war was over. The quotes and images are courtesy of D-Day, Bomber Command, failed to return by, whatever. There you go. That's as much as the RAF have to say on the subject, which is surprisingly little. Yeah, this is 100% true. Like, people say our food's bland. It's not. It's fuel. Because we tend to get busy. And the other thing is, I would put a Sunday dinner up against any other traditional dish. Roast potatoes, Yorkshire puddings, a nice roast. Yeah, brilliant food. But it's kept for Sunday because Monday to Saturday we're fucking busy, and we're preparing our food in a time sensitive manner. That he did. That he did. Well, do you have a little bit about the pigeons? Yeah, apparently so. Apparently so. Apparently the jam collard cream scone is bland. You know, it's laughable, mate. Right. Oh, I do. Oh, I believe I have some footage of the actual landings. Here we go. StreamYard. Present. Share screen. Share screen. Sure. StreamYard. Add the stage. And then hit play.
This is London. London calling in the home, overseas, and European services of the BBC and through United Nations Radio Mediterranean. And this is John Snagg speaking. Supreme Headquarters, Allied Expeditionary Force, have just issued communique number 1, and in a few seconds I will read it to you. Under the command of General Eisenhower, Allied naval forces, supported by strong air forces, began landing Allied armies this morning on the northern coast of France. I'll repeat that communique. Communique number 1. Under the command of General Eisenhower, Allied naval forces, supported by strong air forces, began landing Allied armies this morning on the northern coast of France.
Right, so there's that. And I think I may have another bit of footage. That was actually radio commentary. So that's how we told the world that we went in. It's quite good. Nah. Where's this other thing? Let's see if I can make this work. Watch on YouTube. Right. We've got the advertisement madness. We need to get past. Just talk amongst yourselves. could do with these advertisements buggering off and giving my headpiece. Now, this actually is also got film on it. London Calling the Clash, yeah. Be tempted to play that, but it always causes problems. Share screen. Share. StreamYard. Attitude to the stage.
In this third section of the newsreel record of our invasion, these further graphic pictures show the consolidation of the beachhead positions and the thrust inland. The weather was none too good, but the little ships plugged on manfully to the beaches, bringing enormous support in manpower and weapons, and bringing also the mechanical needs of our Army and Air Force, the means to build our first airfields in France since 1940. After a day when the skies were too grey for useful flying, the great air forces went once more into the attack, in strength. Again the air vibrated with the roar of hundreds of bombers and fighters. Airfields, communications, and enemy troops were strafed and blasted. Every bridge over the Seine between Paris and the coast was wrecked. This was air power on a scale to dwarf even the grandeur of Nazi dreams. All the time, the sea and beaches were alive with the activity of Anglo-American invasion. Wider and wider grew the scene. The beachhead grew in depth and width. From the beaches, spearheads struck out and pressed inland, through the villages towards Caen, Isigny, and Carentan, and Montbourg and Saint-Mère-Église in the north towards Cherbourg, fighting over open country and in the streets, destroying the German conquerors of France, capturing their supply dumps and taking prisoners. Airborne units fought an engagement here close to the gliders in which they had landed. And here, out of action, come German soldiers in surrender, the first rich fruits of victory for the United Nations. And from each village recaptured from Hitler come the people of France. On board a mine layer soon after the invasion started, Supreme Commander Eisenhower was watching progress with Admiral Ramsey. And that other familiar figure whose name has spelled victory more than once. After 4 years, the commander of the Allied field forces stands on the soil of France. General Montgomery has said he didn't see any Atlantic wall, but he did see a wonderfully efficient system of concrete and steel defense posts. The skill and courage of our fighting men overcame them, tough though they were. At one point, the camera found a German defender digging himself out of sand in which he had been buried by a shell burst. We have learnt well the lessons of the past. In a matter of hours, the bulldozers were at work, building landing strips to enable our warplanes once again to take off and land in France itself.
Oh, it's bad.
Yeah. Can we talk about it?
Well,
We need to.
fucking object.
And now the reinforcements of men and armor came into the towns. The Normandy names have become famous in a week because of their battles on the road to Berlin. From all sectors, prisoners were coming by hundreds, growing into thousands. Taken out to the ships, bound for Britain. Already those airstrips were being used to evacuate wounded. Nurses have been over to the beachhead. They picked flowers in the fields of Normandy while they were waiting for the patients with whom they flew back to Britain. Over in Britain also, the prisoners are arriving. The men who expected to march in triumph through the streets of our London. Now they come instead in captivity. Churchill told them 4 years ago that we would fight on the beaches. It turns out to be their beaches.
All right, one momento. Which one is that? That's that one. Right, take that off. Sorry. I was trying to find something. Right. 1 second. No. Can't find it. Right. Okay. I'm going to have to do something totally different. Thank you. Right, and now we're going to have another little bit of poetry, and this, I believe, will be appropriate. It is Tommy by Roger Kipling. Do you like a bit of Kipling? Not the pie Kipling, the poem Kipling.
Tommy by Rudyard Kipling. I went into a public house to get a pint of beer. The publican, he up and says, "We serve no redcoats here." The girls behind the bar, they laughed and giggled fit to die. I outs into the street again, and to myself says I, "Oh, it's Tommy this and Tommy that, and Tommy go away. But it's thank you, Mr. Atkins, when the band begins to play. The band begins to play, me boys, the band begins to play. Oh, it's thank you, Mr. Atkins, when the band begins to play." I went into a theatre as sober as could be. They gave a drunk civilian room, but hadn't none for me. They sent me to the gallery or round the music halls. But when it comes to fighting, Lord, they shove me in the stalls. For it's Tommy this and Tommy that, and Tommy, wait outside. But it's special train for Atkins when the troopers on the tide. The troop ship's on the tide, me boys, the troop ship's on the tide. Oh, it's special train for Atkins when the troopers on the tide. Yes, making mock of uniforms that guard you while you sleep is cheaper than them uniforms, and they're starvation cheap. And hustling drunken soldiers, when they're going large a bit, is 5 times better business than parading in full kit. Then it's Tommy this and Tommy that, and Tommy, how's your soul? But it's thin red line of heroes when the drums begin to roll. The drums begin to roll, my boys, the drums begin to roll. Oh, it's thin red line of heroes when the drums begin to roll. We ain't no thin red heroes, nor we aren't no blackguards too, but single men in barracks, most remarkable like you. And if sometimes our conduct isn't all your fancy paints, why, single men in barracks don't grow into plaster saints. While it's Tommy this and Tommy that, and Tommy fall behind, but it's pleased to walk in front, sir, when there's trouble in the wind. When there's trouble in the wind, me boys, there's trouble in the wind. Oh, it's pleased to walk in front, sir, when there's trouble in the wind. You talk of better food for us, and schools, and fires and all. We'll wait for extra rations if you treat us rational. Don't mess about the cookroom slops, but prove it to our face. The widow's uniform is not the soldier man's disgrace. For it's Tommy this and Tommy that, and chuck him out, the brute. But it's saviour of his country when the guns begin to shoot. And it's Tommy this and Tommy that and anything you please. And Tommy ain't a blooming fool. You bet that Tommy sees.
Right, that was a bit of Roger Kipling. I did see hashtag say it if it's a good poem. Funny you mention that. I do have one called If. Not that one. My one. Is a 42 version of If. If from the jaws of victory you can gamely grasp defeat. Then take on right. Sorry. Teeth back in. Start again from the top. If from the jaws of victory you can gamely grasp defeat, then take an unconquerable army and force them to retreat. If the achievements of your ancestors you can easily cast aside, then take your subjugation and repackage it as pride. If you can cast down your own people for another people's gain, while sitting in ivory towers and ignore the people's pain, if you can lambast their outcry when they demand legal protection, and brand the patriots traitors who foster insurrection, if you can do all this and not feel ashamed, call them all pawns lost to the game. If your rightful duty you can easily forget, and your people's rights you would willfully neglect, congratulations, you're a Western politician, and I hope your name is remembered for eternity, you treacherous bastard. Might have added a line too. Right. And with that being said and done, we're in 56 minutes. I thank you all. And we're going to have an outro. Fucking right they are. Fucking right, they're stuck on an island with us. And sooner or later they're going to find out. Sooner or later they will find out. Now, outro time. What will I have for the outro this evening? I think I go section. We're going to have Eat the Bugs. Yep, we're having Eat the Bugs. So get prepared to brace. I will play the outro and I shall put your comments all up on the screen.
This is 42 speaking. Welcome to the Resistance. Oh shit, man. Eat the Bugs? You got me wrong. You got me so wrong. You ever seen a cave drawing of somebody with a spear hunting a mosquito? Well, me either. We eat meat and we have choices. You cook the hedgehog right? It tastes like chicken. Fucking chicken. I ain't eating your bugs. I ain't eating your bugs. I started off with nothing and I'm never going back. I'm not getting on your progressive track. With Agenda 2030, I refuse to engage. I can see where it is going and it's just another cage. I've got hedgehog, I've got rabbit, I've got wild hog. Fuck it, I can even move to Alaska and get me a nice caribou. Eating your bugs. You're trying to take away what I fought so hard to get, so I'm going to say no to your cattle country. Eat the bugs, live in some communal pod with no fucking privacy. Oh, nothing and be happy. I've seen the people with nothing and they don't look happy. Eat the bugs, live in some communal pod with no fucking privacy. Oh, nothing to be happy. I'm not eating your bugs. Fuck it. Fuck it. I'm not eating your bugs. Fuck it. I'm not eating your bugs. Fuck it.
got me so fucking wrong. There are millions of us in the UK, billions worldwide, unvaccinated, striding out into our third winter of death with not a care in the world. Eating pig, eating cow, eating chicken, and we will not conform. Fuck it, I'm not eating your bugs. Hey, Klaus Schwab, this is 42, and I want the word with you. Motherfucker.
This is the fourth industrial revolution. We have a window of opportunity for the great reset. Technology is a critical weapon. History is truly at a turning point. We can shape a better world, and we will reglobalize to make it a better place. So will honor, and so will be, and so will eat the bugs.
You haven't got me talking. Why is the United Nations in charge of Stonehenge? Keeping me away from the stones? That's not world heritage, that's British heritage. You're getting to a point where the people that just want to be left alone are going to get involved. Tell me again, why is the United Nations running Stonehenge? Fuck it. Stonehenge, New Games of fucking Perry Mountain Range, now owned by UNESCO, so you and I can never go. Fuck your 15-minute cities and your Internet of Things. We are going back to nature, see what that life brings. We had a good look at the planning we did, so we hook up with the Woodlander and take our shit off grid. Fuck it. We hook up with the Woodlander and take our shit off grid. Fuck it. We'll hook up with the Woodlander and take our shit off grid.
This is 42 speaking. Welcome to the Resistance.
Fuck it. Right, okay. Extra outro coming up. One thing. Brad, before you go, hedgehog does indeed taste like chicken. Don't worry about the splines. Drop one of them in the boiling water for 2 minutes, and all those splines just drop out. Pluck it back out again. Give it a gut. Give it a clean, and then fry. Perfect. Tastes like chicken. Here we go. I'm going to ask for it. I'm going to play it. It is Leave Her, Johnny, Leave Her. Because why the hell not?
I thought I heard the old man say, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Tomorrow ye will get your pay, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. Oh, the wind was foul and the sea ran high. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. She shipped it green and none went by, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. I hate to sail on this rotten tub. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. No grog allowed
loud and rotten grub, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. We swear by our oath for want of more. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. But now we're through, so we'll go on shore, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her.
Behind the sleigh.
Yes, Hashtag, that is indeed it. I would like to thank you all very much for coming along tonight. Please have a think about what I said, particularly stuff earlier on about what we do next as a group of people, as a community. And I believe that involves demanding access to policing panels, proper an ability to at least influence the laws that's going on. Have a think about that. But anyway, with that all said and done, I have been 42. You lot in the chat have, as always, been fucking amazing. Thank you so much. Good night. God bless. See us all next week. I'm out of here. Goodbye.